This is GPTV, a production of the Georgia Green Party.
My name is Kwabena Nkrumah. I'm a Green candidate for state representative in Georgia's 57th district, which takes in parts of Atlanta's Midtown neighborhood and the Pittsburgh community and the historic West End in Atlanta. I make my living as a cosmetologist, so I don't mind telling you that the politics of Atlanta and of Georgia, and even our entire nation, could use a serious makeover. Right now, we've got a situation in Georgia that profoundly affects the future of the entire nation. In northeast Georgia's Burke County, one of the poorest parts of the state, Southern Companies is erecting the first 2 nuclear reactors built in the United States in more than 30 years. In what looks like a classic case of environmental racism, the mostly black communities of Waynesboro and Shell Bluff, where these reactors are being constructed, are already home to a pair of leaky, dangerous existing nukes, also operated by Southern Companies. The Plant Vogtle complex, as it is called, lies along the Savannah River, named by the EPA as the 4th most toxic waterway in the nation. While just across the river and a short distance upstream is the highly radioactive Savannah Nuclear Station, where hydrogen bombs were assembled for more than 50 years. The mostly black communities of Waynesboro and Shell Bluff are the site of an ongoing cancer epidemic. Over the past decade, they have held meetings and conferences and marches. They have met with and petitioned their elected officials on every level, asking, pleading, and demanding that the state and federal government, or Southern Companies itself, conduct ongoing monitoring of the air, soil, water, fish, wildlife, and human beings who live near the Plant Vogel's existing nuclear reactors. They have been met with nothing but denial and invasion. The Georgia Green Party is the only political party in Georgia that is unequivocally opposed to the construction of new nuclear reactors in our state. We are the only political party which demands that the federal government and Southern Companies spend whatever it takes to monitor radiation levels in the soil, fish, air, water, wildlife, and people of the communities near Plant Vogtle. You know, President Barack Obama called himself, at the 2008 Democratic Convention, the president of clean coal and safe nuclear power. But one of his first acts was to guarantee $800 million to commence construction of new reactors at Plant Vogtle. Since then, the federal government has increased its commitment to more than $8 billion. And given the history of cost overruns at nuclear plants, the final price tag may approach over $20 billion. Georgia's Public Service Commission has okayed the addition of a nuclear construction cost recoupment fee on all of its 3.8 million residential ratepayers, and maintains a long-standing commitment to adjusting ratepayer bills to guarantee the utility company a 12% annual profit. If Plant Vogel's new nukes were constructed, residents of mostly black Burke County will continue to pay for Southern Company profits with their health and their lives. Georgia ratepayers will pay through the nose, and federal taxpayers will pay forever. Southern Companies owns power networks throughout the South, so the power generated at Plant Vogtle can be sold as far away as Louisiana and even Texas. Southern Companies, along with the politicians of both parties who favor the construction of new nukes, claim that they will be job-creating boosts to local economies. This is the same claim they made in the 70s and 80s, before the first 2 nuclear reactors were even built. But a generation later, much of Burke County still lacks paved roads, water and sewer systems, grocery stores, adequate medical care, decent schools or jobs. If nuclear power really meant economic development, Burke County should be one of the wealthiest corners of the state, not among our poorest. There are also many serious questions about the design of these reactors, which have not even been modified in the wake of lessons supposedly learned from last year's Fukushima disaster in Japan. But Plant Vogtle does not stand alone. Right now, federal and local officials have approved the financing and construction of dozens of new nukes across the country. There's a radioactive wave of these things coming. The Green Party is the historic home of the anti-nuclear movement. If we want to turn back this wave of radioactive corruption, the place to do that is right here in Georgia, where the nexus of corporate greed, bipartisan collusion, and environmental racism exists alongside a strong Georgia Green Party. Our Georgia Green Party is committed to building itself out in the African American community, at the expense of whatever political parties dominate there now. Metro Atlanta has recently surpassed the Chicago area as the second largest concentration of African descended people on this continent. If you want to see new leadership and a new politics brought into being, Georgia is the place to look. If you want to see new and powerful movements against environmental racism, corporate privilege, and nuclear power emerge, Georgia is the place to be. If you can't be here in person, or even if you can, take a moment and go to www.georgiagreenparty.org. That's www.georgiagreenparty.org. And click the Donate tab near the top of the page. Your generous and timely donation helps get green candidates like me on the ballot. Your contribution helps us develop new leaders and leadership that will make a difference in Georgia and ultimately where you live as well. Your contributions enable the Georgia Green Party to carry forward historic work Green parties around the world have been known for. So go ahead and whip out that credit card or that checkbook and go to www.georgiagreenparty.org. That's www.georgiagreenparty.org. If you can give $100 or more, you'll make a big difference in this ongoing work in Georgia and the nation. Help us oppose corporate greed and environmental racism here in Georgia. The Georgia Green Party is the only political party that opposes the construction of Plant Vogtle and demands testing of the environment and people already exposed to deadly radiation. And if we can stop the first of this new wave of nukes, we can stop them all. The national makeover starts with you, and it starts right here in Georgia. I'm Kwabena Nkrumah. I'm a Georgia Green Party candidate for state representative in Georgia's District 57, and I approve this message.
Hope is not a plan. Put your dollars to work this year building a real movement. The Georgia Green Party is the only political party in Georgia that opposes war, environmental racism, and corporate greed, no matter who is in City Hall, the State House, or the White House. Help us get our local and national candidates on the ballot this year in Georgia. Give to the Georgia Green Party at www.georgiagreenparty.org. Paid for by the Georgia Green Party. Al Herman, Treasurer.